Well, hello there. Have you ever looked into mono versus stereo and been like, what is this? Why is it important? Why do I need to do it? And have you just left being a bit confused about everything? If so, you've come to the right place. Your guide, Arcnade, is here to help. Welcome to a noob's guide to mono versus stereo. We're going to break this down into 3 easy to follow steps. In step 1, we're going to explain what mono is and what stereo is. In step 2, we're going to look into why it is important to use mono versus stereo. And then in step 3, we're going to look at what elements go in mono and what elements go in stereo. What does mono mean? Mono simply means one audio channel. So every human's got ears. We've got a left ear and a right ear. Now, if there's one audio channel, where do you think this audio channel will go? It will go directly in the middle, in between your left and right ear. Imagine just one audio channel down the middle, in between your left and right ear, so both your left and right ear can hear it. All mono is putting all the audio sounds into one channel. And what does stereo mean? So stereo is 2 audio channels. So you've got your left ear and your right ear. So where do you think these channels are going to go? They're going to go more towards the left and the right ears. So the best way to think of this is if you've got 2 speakers or 2 headphones, then there's 2 audio channels. There's the left one and there's the right one, and they go in your left and right ear. Why is it important that we know about mono and stereo and that we implement it into our music? Firstly, it's to do with mixing and your mix down. So if you implement mono and stereo into your mixes, you can make them sound more clean. You can make certain elements sit in certain places and other elements sit in other places. And it adds depth to your mix down, and it adds fullness as well. And it also adds clarity. So by having certain elements in mono, you'll be able to hear them better when you put those other elements in stereo. So not everything is just sitting in one place. And also it's important depending on what system you play back your music on. The best example for this is clubs and festivals. They all have massive speakers, and most of them are going to be in mono. So therefore it's important to make sure your track not only sounds good in stereo, but also sounds good in mono. And that's also why doing like a car test can really show if your track sounds good or not, because a lot of car systems are mostly in mono as well. What should we put in mono and what should we put in stereo? A quick tip before you do anything else is that it's really important for your track to sound good in both mono and stereo. And that doesn't mean they should sound exactly the same in mono and stereo. It just means if on the master channel you were to put your entire track into mono, it would still sound good. So that's a pro tip for you. But let's have a look at this graph. Feel free to take a screenshot of this, save it somewhere, and then refer to it when you're doing your mix downs. It'll be super helpful. We typically have our sub bass, our kick, our vocals, and our clap and snare in mono, and then we'll have the main basses sitting around mono, maybe panned a little bit. The hi-hats and the percussions sitting more in the stereo ranges, and the same with the pads, the plucks, vocal backings, and then of course reverb. And you can also see a kilohertz range on the vertical scale, which is just the EQ, so you can see the different elements and where they should sit there. For example, reverb shouldn't be in the low end at all, just in the high end, and your sub bass should just be in the low end, not the high end. Before we look at an example, there's a free music production workshop below. All you need to do is click on the link and sign up completely free, and then you can watch the video. Let's just have a look at an example as well. So this is just the FL Studio mixer. If you're on Ableton, you can simply use utilities on each track to put that track in mono or to widen it into stereo. So as you can see here, my kick group, my clap group, my snare group are all in mono because this thing is all the way turned to purple. That just puts it in mono. And then you see my hat group here is slightly in stereo. It's 36% separated because I've gone the other direction. And then you'll see on my reverb channels, I have a reverb and then I have an EQ cutting out the lows. Same with my sub bass, it's in mono here. And then my vocals will more than likely be in mono as well. And then the reverb would be in stereo, and any backing as well would be in stereo. And then we've got instruments along here. With this sort of stuff, you need to experiment a bit. Typically it could be a bit wider, but you also need to make sure it sounds good when you turn the master channel to mono as well. So you need to be doing a little bit of experimentation with this side. I don't find that it always works well in stereo. Sometimes it might need to be in mono as well. This is where your ears will come into play. And then typically you can see the effects bus here. I'll just have this in mono as well, just because it makes the mix down sound more clear, in my opinion. Having a load of effects in stereo can just cause a lot of confusion, especially when you're using a lot of effects. Also, I recommend just using the purple thing on FL Studio and the utility on Ableton if you want to put anything into mono. And you can also use Fruity Stereo Enhancer here for a little bit more detail. But if you're wanting to look into stereo even more detailed, or if you just want to look at a graph of your instrument and where it's playing on the stereo field, there's this really cool free plugin called Ozone Imager, and it's actually free to download as well. And if I play something like a kick drum here, you can see it's in mono because it's just one line. Whereas if I play this clap here, you can see it's more in stereo as it's going all over the place. And then you can literally use this button and then it gives you a little graph of where it's playing on the imager as well. That's just a cool pro tip if you want to look more into the stereo side of things and you want to fully analyze it within your mixdown. That is a breakdown of stereo versus mono. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you like to put in stereo in particular that really works, or if there's anything that you put in mono that really works and makes your mixdowns and playback sound way better. Also, please smash that like button if you learned something from this video. It helps the video reach more people, which helps them and also helps me out as well. Thank you all for watching.